All right, welcome back, everybody. It's your boy J Mac and your boy Jeremy, and we are back with episode 4 of Conversations and Pastimes. How you doing, Mr. Hayes?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
Good to
Another
see
Thursday night.
you. All right, so tonight I want to talk about some tubing stories because you told me you went tubing recently. I went tubing recently. My tubing experience was fucking horrible.
Okay.
Horrible. But it's
Okay.
not. And let me tell you. So when you are ordering your tube, they give you the option of having a bottomless tube or a tube that's got a bottom in it and it's got a seat back. So I'm like, I'm tubing. The river gonna take me. Why not tube in luxury? You know what I'm saying? I ain't gotta worry about my ass getting wet. I'm gonna have my drink. I'm gonna be getting drunk. And I'm gonna lean back in this bitch and just chill. All right. Not quite so, my friend. So I go tubing with a bunch of friends, and I'll just say the entire trip, no matter where I started, I always ended up last. There are several times that we would beach, just to chill out, or people go pee in the woods or whatever was happening, or we was just, making sandwiches, whatever was going on. So there were several times where we would beach and they'd be like, all right, you're gonna end up in the back. How about you start right here? All right, I start in the middle. We're going. Everything's going good as long as the water is moving. I'm good. And then somehow I always ended up drifting to the back. Not by choice. Like I wasn't like, I got this. I'm just gonna fall back. Like, no. I should just start lagging back. Now, a couple times it was because I was doing other stuff. Like, saying my daughter and one of my friends' daughters, they was hanging out and then they got stuck. So I get out of my float to help them because I'm the only one around that sees that they in trouble or whatever. Well, they take off. So I'm behind, no problem. But for some reason, I'm not moving fast. And I keep drifting to the side. So I'm all in the trees and all this. And I'm like, man, what in the world? Like, why? So I mean, we we get down this river, man. We keep moving. And then because okay, so check this out. You know how there's always stumps and stuff in the water, right?
Mhm.
So we're going, and there's literally like a stump here, and then a stump here. Because I don't have a bottom, I go right over this thing and just whoop, now I'm stuck.
so,
Look,
so as you play, wait. I've been trying to hold this shit in. So the way you paint this picture, I can just see it. Like I can see it happening. Go ahead. I want to hear some more about this. Okay.
I said, because I don't have a bottom. I mean, because I have a bottom, there is nowhere. So if I wouldn't have had a bottom, the tube is just it's round. So
Mm-hmm.
I would have literally gone over all of this stuff with no problem. But because I have a bottom in there, and like I said, these things are sitting here, and then there's the one going straight up. So I end up just riding on top of them and just bloop, right there. I ain't going nowhere. Ain't no way to get out of this shit. It's not like it's just gonna move on its own because if that's basically the only way I get off of this thing, either I get out or I
Mm-hmm.
try to scoot and I end up ripping it. And
And you
now
don't
I'm
know
doing,
how deep it is right there either.
huh?
You don't know how deep it is right there either.
Exactly. But I didn't have any choice. So I get out and of course I go right under. Son of a bitch. Ah. So I come up, move my float. Now everybody gone. And I'm like, this a bitch. So I get back in the float, keep moving. All right, get to the next one. and like it was just like this string of bad luck every time, and I was like, all right. So I get there, and of course everybody drinking, everybody talking shit, like it's about time you got here. And I'm like, fuck you, you.
Man, all right, so I'm gonna answer the question, then I want you to continue. But I just gotta know, why did you not have any good enough friends that were gonna be like, hey dude, you might want to get in the might want to get in this tube that's, that you can actually steer, with the butt out. That way you can actually get into it and have your arms hanging out or sit in it. And then you can still steer with your arms. It's more controllable than this freaking dinghy they done put you in.
Right.
You know?
So I can say that I did have one of my friends that, or actually, I think it was two of them. I think it ended up becoming a discussion, but it was on the last leg of the trip. So I'm like, no, fuck it
Too
now.
late.
Like, well,
It's
so
too late.
my wife and my baby girl had a canoe. So that's what I did for the last leg of the trip. I was like, fuck this float, put me in the canoe. So
You
I
put the
got in the
baby in
canoe.
you put the
And
baby in the float.
say what?
Put the baby in the float and tie a string to the
Well,
canoe.
that's what I did. I roped my son off.
Mm-hmm.
I tied him off, let him ride on the tube, and I was like, damn this, I'm ready to go now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so before we got to the last, on my way to the last leg, everybody is around me. I was in first. I started the trip, and somehow I drift over here. Boom. All right, now I got to push off of this tree. Okay, now I'm centered up. Now here I go, start drifting this way. All right, so I also didn't realize until I got stuck that the only way that I could pedal in this thing is because, like I said, it's not like a normal tube. I literally had to like lean forward in this thing and damn near fold it in half and like pedal this way. And I was like, man, this is some bullshit. I was like, so the reason I say it was horrible, not only did all this stuff happen, but I'm like, I'm supposed to be relaxing. This shit is stressful. I'm stressed out at this point because heading into the last beach that we stopped at, literally got in the water. I got centered and I'm like, all right, this is cool. The breeze stops, the water stops moving. Now I'm stagnant. Can't do shit. And everybody is gone. So then I'm gonna put in this part of the story because fuck that couple. There was an old couple that came by me as I drifted into like this deep part. Luckily, I found somewhere to step because I was like, that shit is deep. But I could also see like a piece of the embankment that was like, I could step on this. Didn't realize how slippery it was, but that's a whole different thing. But this old couple comes through. This lady turns and looks at me, makes eye contact with me, looks me dead in my face, and kept pedaling. She didn't ask me if I was all right. She didn't say shit. She was just like, I ain't see nothing. And I'm like, oh, you bitch. So like I said, I'm stuck in this stagnant ass water. I finally figure out how to move this thing, which is basically me sitting up on the edge of it damn near, and then getting the water moving. So I finally get to the last embankment. Everybody's like, hey, you want to try this? Hey, this and this. And I was like, fuck this trip. I'm ready to go. I'm getting that. It's like I'm getting that damn canoe and I'm gone.
Yeah,
So that was why I said fuck tubing. Because
got you.
I'm
All
supposed
right.
it's supposed to be relaxing, right?
Yes.
First time I went tubing was relaxing. I drank my ass off, and all I had to do was lay back in the tube and I chilled. Now, granted, my wife brought up a good point. The first tubing trip we took, everybody was tied off,
That's
and it was
okay.
one person manning the canoe.
Okay.
So that was, and I was like, you know what, you're right. I do remember that because I remember I was in the tube the first half of the trip, and then me and her switched off, and I
Mm-hmm.
got in the canoe and she got in the tube. So I
Mm-hmm.
was controlling everything.
So, so couple questions first before I just completely laugh and just because that was that was a good story. That sucks, man. But Jesus, you should have had somebody to say something to you when they seen you struggling the first time. But anyway, so a couple questions. Um, the the area where y'all were tubing at, could you stand up in the water the majority of the way?
Yeah, there were I'm not gonna say majority of the way, but there were pockets where you could stand up in the water. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is that if needed be, you could, like if had you not had a dinghy, that's what I'm gonna call it, without a paddle, by the way.
Yeah.
Might I ask, or a bucket or tennis racket or a stick. None of
Right.
that. Um, if you needed to, you could kind of steer yourself had you been in an actual like donut style tube. You could have been in there, sitting there, and you could have actually got down, put your feet into the sand or the rocks, whatever it
Hey,
is that, and steer yourself. Next question, okay. Did you have shoes, water shoes or any kind of like, flip flops or anything like that? If you was barefooted, I could see where your train of thought was by sitting that little thing without the butt in it. With the, like that
I still
little
had
boat, the
no,
little raft.
I was barefoot because I put my shoes in the canoe.
So that makes sense why you chose that. Okay. However, you know, anytime that you go do something like that, always have some kind of water shoe or some kind of sandal. Not like not no flip flops, but you get a chance losing them. I've done it with, a thin pair of like workout shoes, like a real thin minimalist style pair of them. I've done it with sandals on. I've done it with, several things, right? Um, but that's the number one thing right there because as bad as they keep those areas up, like as much as they keep those areas up, and that way they can continue to have business, glass and things like that get pushed up from the bottom, silt and all that right there. I actually, whenever we went, um, I guess it was the front of the month, I think, or something like that. Yeah, it was the front of the month. It was the weekend after Memorial Day weekend. I actually stepped on an old bottle. You remember those old Gatorade style bottles that were glass?
Yeah.
It was one of them I stepped on.
God damn.
Yeah, I could tell it was Gatorade because it had Gatorade printed in the glass.
I mean, that's a telltale sign.
Yeah, I was like, dang, you
I could
know.
tell it was a Gatorade bottle because it had Gatorade on it.
No, no, what I mean is I could tell it was one of those authentic bottles, probably a collectible item by now. It's an antique bottle by now. Because most of them just got the plastic on them and you really can't tell what it is. But this is like an authentic Gatorade was stamped into the glass, like the glass maker made that happen. You know. So moving forward, okay. So I just stepped on it, and when I stepped on it, like I heard it break under the glass because it was just so weak. It's been underwater, in the mud for so long. So I got it all out of there, and took it over to the side and just threw it like off the bank, like up on the hill a little bit. And then I had a pleasant conversation with the passerby, thinking that I broke glass in the damn thing. So that I told him, about himself and to keep it moving, that we had 4 first responders with us in our group. I didn't need a medical student, over here telling me not to break glass where your kids play. Like it's, I'm just tearing up the environment. But anyway, that was pretty much like the worst part of that trip right there was me and that kid right there having a nice little discussion.
Right.
After a few just like little discussion. But anyway, um, so then that's one thing right there. And then you got to think about when you're going, how fast it's going to be, how fast the water's going to be traveling, because in my opinion, over the last week or so, I wouldn't plan on going, down no river or anything like that or no creek unless I absolutely had to for survival. But I wouldn't plan on doing that now because the water's going to be higher.
Right.
and then all the water's coming from the north, seeping through down here. Okay, so all the water's gonna be higher. It's probably gonna be darker. It's not the right time. Um, and whenever you go with a group like that, everybody needs to tie up. Okay, and that would have made your situation a little bit better. And then put the beer cooler or the or like the dry bag or whatever in that little boat that you had and tie that off. That's typically what that's designed for. You know, um, that's pretty much it right there. Because it sounded like you had the wrong thing, and you were just trying to make it work because it made sense to you, and that sounded dangerous. Because you got to look at like the parts of the water where it gets darker at. That means that it's deeper, or there's like a log or something like that there. So you kind of got to watch yourself. And then the way you was drifting off, dude, like off against the banks and in the trees, man. I don't know how it is over there, by you, because I've never went down a river over that way. But I do know several rivers in Mississippi and here in Alabama where they have snakes that hang out in the trees.
The moccasins like to hang out up there.
Yeah. So it's just like, dude, like you're definitely putting yourself, out there like that. But hey,
Oh,
you
trust
didn't
me,
know.
I was fully aware.
You didn't know, but that's how you avoid that kind of stuff right there. So for us, like I said, we tied everybody off and we all had, coolers and stuff like that. I made sure that my wife was to the inside of the bundle whenever all of us were going, and she was towards the inside. And then our cooler was someone in the middle as well. That way everybody could reach into the middle for their coolers, get their own beer and the sandwiches out. And then like there's like 5 or 6 of us guys, around the whole perimeter kind of steering and then walking through. Mind you, I'm the shortest one, out of everybody, but I had shoes on and I was able to kind of look ahead because they all was getting hammered, funneling beers, eating jello shots and everything. I'm trying to keep myself safe, you know, especially with that, particular little job that I had right there. But that's how you kind of stay safe and stay in the group and not get left behind. Now I will tell you an experience that I had on the Black Creek, which that's in Mississippi, up around Brooklyn, Mississippi, like south of Hattiesburg area. And
Mm,
that thing goes for a long way. We went 27 miles on it back in 2011.
that
Me
no, baby.
me and my 2 cousins, we had one canoe and one kayak. And then we
Okay,
camped out on the
that's different. That ain't tubing.
no, 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 no. You legit can't tube Black Creek.
Well, you said 27 miles and we having a tubing story, so that's why I was like,
No, no. Okay.
hell no.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. So we did like a overnight trip down Black Creek. I'm gonna show you where I'm going with this in just a second now. Okay. So that particular river right there, I mean, it's got some deep pockets, and you have, like some, decent, rapids, I guess. You could say class 1, class 2s or whatever, but you still got to know how to move through that. Um, and we made it down that right there. Well, I didn't go back to Black Creek till like 2021, May 2021. So I've been, I ain't been there in 10 years, right? So I went back there. One of my boys' birthday, a bunch of us was out there. Shout out to Steven Ambrosia. um,
Whoa.
um, but we were all out, and my wife and I, we had our canoe. So I had a little bit more experience on there and in a canoe versus my wife. So I had her in the front, and then I was basically steering the back. Had a great time, had a great time. And then we were doing well, going all the way through. She was listening or whatever. We was rolling through that thing, like having a great time. And then, kind of at like the 3/4 mark before we got ready to, actually get done, it was like a dog leg turn. And then in that dog leg turn, there were some trees that had done fell across it, because that happens all the time. They had to get out there and cut them up and, move them. Um, so around those 2 trees, that created kind of like a whirlpool. Okay. And somehow we were paddling, and I think I may have looked down to change the radio or something like that, or something. But then somehow we ended up going sideways, like my backside was going sideways, and she didn't know what to do. So then she starts panicking. And I'm like, don't panic, don't panic. Let's just paddle, one side at a time. She started panicking. And by the time, we realized what it was, we had done went up against one of them trees, sideways. We get hit by the current. And then she freaks out a little bit and moves. Canoe fills up with water automatically. She bails out, I bail out. Okay. She goes under. Like I see her go under first. Okay. So I immediately go up on there, and do my best to get to her. And I grab her butt and I just push her up. And then by the way I pushed her, she was able to kind of make her way to the bank, leaving me there. And my foot got caught in between some roots underneath the ground. So here I am underwater. She didn't know what was going on, but my foot's in between like all like the underground roots and stuff there. I couldn't come up. So what I ended up having to do, I ended up having to shed my shoe. So I lost my shoe, and then I came up inside of the canoe. Like canoe was up, so there's like a little air pocket, and I came up in there like that. And then I realized what was what, and then I pushed it and I kicked off of it and made it out. But here's the tripped out part about it. I had all of our stuff tied down so well that we didn't lose anything. I just lost a shoe. Okay. And then I had a Bluetooth speaker. It's waterproof.
Yeah.
And then there's a song by Whiskey Myers called Frogman, and basically he's paying a tribute to like the Navy SEALs, called him Frogman.
Okay.
And then that's all I heard was, "Hey baby, I'm a frog man." I'm sitting there under the under the water, about to drown. That's all I kept hearing, man. But then I made it up out of there, and like I didn't tell her, like severity of it until like we got home that evening. I was like, "Hey, I don't know if you realize it or not, but I was in trouble for a second." She's like, "What are you talking about?" And I told you. And I said, "Hey, remember when I pushed you out? Yeah, I got stuck, because I pushed off." you know. She was like, "Oh wow." I'm like, "Yeah." But, that scared the piss out of me, But situations like that, you just gotta be familiar with the water and you got to not panic.
Yeah.
Because the more you start panicking, the more you start kicking, like you're only gonna tire yourself out.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like it's very unlikely for you to find a 20-foot hole in a creek.
Yeah.
So if it's 5 feet deep or something like that, you're gonna find the bottom, right? And if you stop fighting, you're liable to float back up, right? So that's where a lot of people get themselves in trouble with that. But
I'm gonna be honest with you, I would be one of them people because I would be like, "Oh,
no,
fuck,
man,
I'm gonna die."
no, like you have to like control your mind. Like you have to just basically like just tell yourself, because when you hold your breath, and think about it, when you jump into a pool and you hold your breath, yeah, granted you can kick and you can make your movements, up toward the surface. But then if you just chill for a minute and then not exhale all your air, you're gonna come back up. You're gonna start making your way back up to it, up to the top. So yeah, I mean, like I'm no expert on how to drown proof yourself or nothing like that, but I know that it's best to not panic.
Bruh. I thought you were about to say I'm no expert on how to drown.
Yeah. No, I'm no expert on how to make yourself drown proof. That's like a term used in the military.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, I'm no expert in that. I've never done anything like that, but I do know the concept. And me not panicking, caused me to be able to get myself undone and get out of there.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and I even think to even use the air pocket that was in the canoe.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, I get it. I get it, man. I mean, a situation like that is why I ain't married no more.
true.
Hey, I jumped in the Gulf of Mexico. I came up, my ring was gone. I said, "The Lord has set me free."
Yeah, that's whenever you get you. When you go to Amazon, get you a pack of them, rubber rings, and then You lose one, just get another out the little bag, put it on. But then I remember on another trip that we went on. This was last summer. Last May is my cousin's 40th birthday. Same guys that I went with on Black Creek. We went to Arkansas, to the Buffalo River. And that's in the Ozark Mountains. It's beautiful up there. And then we did like a, I want to say we did like a 3-day, 2-night thing or something like that. It was real cool. You got to see a bald eagle for the first time, and we went like 30 miles then. So we traveled 10 miles a day. Right. And that right there, you got to communicate when you're with somebody in a canoe because my brother-in-law and I, we were thinking the same thing, saying it different. And by the time we figured out what was going on, we run into a damn rock.
Ooh.
And then that was constant for 3 days straight. I love him to death. Love him like an older brother, but both of us was ready to kill each other. And it was nothing but the grace of God for that canoe to not be broken. But fiberglass wasn't broken on it.
Right.
So water sports, make sure you wear your life jacket and then make sure that you are equipped for the trip. You know what you're getting into before you go. And then whoever that older couple was, may they forever step on Legos because you're always supposed to help the person out on the water.
Right.
May they forever step on Legos, man. Because I can see you being pissed off out there. I know you too well. I can see you being upset.
Fam, and then hold up, let me tell you the kicker. Not only did the lady look at make full on eye contact with me and didn't say nothing, got further down the river, ran into my people, and they asked her if she saw me. She was like, "We didn't see anybody."
Oh yeah. I wonder if she was a fan of people that look like you.
I don't know, fam. It didn't seem like it.
Yeah, that makes you wonder. We would get looks like that too. But then, they would quickly realize, especially like in the Ozarks, we were the only minorities out there. But then when they looked at us, they started assuming it was like, okay, these guys are organized, these guys got equipment, they know what they're doing. Either they're military or this is just what they do.
Right.
So then when they figured that right there out, a lot of them came to us like out of curiosity, just want to know. It's almost like,
in water like this. What the hell y'all doing out
here? Yeah, that's basically what it was. Like they was curious. You could feel like they was just genuinely curious. They wouldn't want to know why we was out there. They want to know, how do we figure out about this place? How do we find out about this place?
Who brought you?
Yeah, how do we find out about this paradise? And why are y'all so well equipped? All of y'all got hammocks. Y'all sleeping in the trees. Ain't none of y'all sleeping on the ground. Yeah, of course we're not sleeping on the freaking ground on the riverbank in May. Absolutely not. We're not sleeping there. We up in the trees. We got a whole campsite set up. And then we have, like fires made and we cooking out there, just having a good time, passing around the camping cup, whatever we had brought with us, because all 5 of us brought what was it? 2 32-ounce Powerade jugs with us. So, well, let's see how much time we got. What we didn't you say something about, or what about that kid that jumped off of like that cruise line? How much time we got? You got time to talk about that?
Yeah, we got time. And we'll talk about that right after we come back. I'm gonna go cut a hole in my tube because apparently that was my problem. All right, we're back. I did cut the bottom out of my tube, but unfortunately I popped it. Exactly what I said I was gonna do. So no more tube. But before we get to start to talking about the dude that jumped off the ship, I did want to bring up something. So you remember when we were talking a few episodes back and you were talking about necking?
Yes. Yes.
I looked up what necking means, sir.
Okay.
The Webster Dictionary says necking is the act of kissing and caressing amorously.
What does amorously mean?
Don't know. I didn't look that part up.
Affectionately,
Huh?
passionately, affectionately, passionately.
So dictionary.com might fill you in because I went and pulled both definitions.
Okay.
Dictionary.com says kissing, caressing, and other sexual activity between partners that does not involve stimulation of the genitals or sexual intercourse.
So just really making out passionately.
Yeah. So
So so yeah. So those people that said that I heard that from, they were right. I had no idea. I had no clue.
it's because that's not our word, Jeremy.
This is true.
It's not
This
our
is true.
word.
I think you probably got to have a, no offense to anybody. I think you probably got to have like a address that's on a county road or something. Um, I think that's what you got to have. Maybe, right?
Maybe.
Uh, like that country song by Brooks and Dunn, like Red Dirt Road. I think that you actually lived that, or you may have settled for a burger and a grape snow cone.
Who among us have not settled for a burger and a grape snow cone?
A grape snow cone. Shout out to way down yonder on the Chattahoochee.
So, and another thing I wanted to bring up, we were also talking about upbeat songs with different meanings. So, do you remember this song called Semi Charmed Life" by Third Eye Blind? I believe is what it was. It was like, I want something else to get me through this semi-charmed kind of life. But anyway, it's a very upbeat song, and if you don't listen to the lyrics, it's like they've played it on a lot of like movies and shit because it's like it's got this little catchy little do 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 do.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so that song, if you don't listen to the lyrics, it just sounds like a very campy song. The song is about fucking meth the whole fucking time.
So you talking about? Well, they talking about hitting the light bulb,
He's talking about chasing a meth high.
chasing the dragon. So
He's talking
so
about smoking it and chasing the high.
so he's talking about doing meth.
Yeah,
So all right, question: have they played this song on any like kid movie or something like that? Have they
probably.
got kids bop with this song out? Because I remember the song now that you done played it for me.
Probably.
That's why it's important as a parent to really know what your kids are watching and really know what your kids are listening to, because they had stuff in these songs, you know. Did you just put something on me right there? Like I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, because there, like I said, you have to really be paying attention. But there's a legit line in the song where he says, "And then I bumped again, and then I bumped again," and like he does say, yes.
That song
he
taken
says
off.
he actually says meth in the song at some point, and then he talks about taking bumps. And
Beam me up, Scotty.
like, yeah, so it's crazy. Like we were talking about, coming up with more of that stuff. So I was like, every time I think of one, I'm gonna bring it up.
I just need to get like the lyrics and just get on YouTube and type in just random songs and
Yeah,
actually pay attention to it. Because I probably could have been singing some stuff and not even knowing what it was. And I'm portraying that I like this, and this ain't something that I would normally say I like,
yeah.
or I do, So yeah, I get you on that.
Well, okay. So now that I'm thinking about it, there's another one. If you're not paying attention to, you remember the song "Coffee Shop" by Young Jock?
Yeah.
Yeah, that song he's talking about serving.
Selling drugs.
Yeah, but I mean,
Hmm.
that's another one of them that's got a nice little campy beat.
Hmm. Got kids in the background
Yeah,
singing.
yeah. Um,
Mhm.
but whenever we had that conversation, I did look up a list of songs that was on there. Now, me and my wife had this debate because one of the songs on there was Waterfalls. And I was like, no, the Waterfalls was not subliminal at all. Like you listen to the verses and they pretty much tell you what's happening.
And you watch the video.
Well, so that was the debate that we had. It was like if you don't watch the video, you don't get that same feeling. The only verse that came out after I went back and listened to it that was debatable without the video was Precious, which was the guy. Uh
So so most of those songs have what, three verses to them?
yeah.
Well, all songs got three verses.
So the first
The
verse
first one's
was
about like the little hard headed kid, going out wanting to be in the streets, and then that
yeah.
street being taken.
So that description was so vivid that there was no way that you had to question what he was doing. Mama, lonely mother staring out of her window,
Hmm.
what did you say, looking for a son that she just can't touch because he's
Hmm.
always in the streets. He's he's either running the streets with a gang, or he's selling. You know what
He's
I'm saying?
doing
Either
something.
way, you can see it. Now the
Mhm.
other one was, the dude that was having a lot of sex or whatever. Now without the video, I think that one was kind of debatable.
No, no, because the way she said it, you know, where it says he got a natural affection for temptation that he just can't see. She gives him loving that his body can handle, but all he can say is, "Baby is good to me."
Yeah.
And it said like he looks in the mirror, takes a glimpse of himself, or whatever, and he couldn't recognize himself. And
Hmm.
then his health is fading, and he doesn't know why. Three letters took him to his final resting place. So without even seeing that, you can close your eyes and know, okay, well, what they're saying, you can say those three letters, especially during that time. That era right there.
Oh,
It
oh,
was
quiz
it was
time.
eight,
What were the three? What were the three letters?
AIDS, eight, or it wasn't that.
Poor
It
buddy.
was
It was him. It was the him, sir.
what? The hip. Okay. That's right. Aid. It wasn't, yeah, he wouldn't get help. He wasn't getting help.
Said AIDS. Three
Yeah.
letters.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Man, dang. And I was just so damn sure too, was I was like, you know what? That's what it is. AIDS, three-letter word, AIDS. And then I spelled it out. Oh my God.
F.O. Sachi.
Versace. That was, that reminds me like a Steve Harvey Family Feud moment where like he say something and then like that one person just say something random and think
Yeah.
they got it right.
It's a dick, Steve.
Or what did that little boy? What did that little boy say? Like it was like a Vine video or something I saw. He was getting ready for the spelling bee, and then his mama said, "All right, spell garbage." So he get up there real proud in the living room. He said, "Garbage, Garbitch," and he did the dab and spin around. And then his daddy was laying on the couch. His dad was like, "What? Man, that's wrong. That's wrong." The little boy was so ashamed that he just walked out the room. He just knew he had it right. Spell garbage, Garbitch, and then he dabbed and spin around.
Hey. Heck no.
That's funny. That's funny.
All
So,
right. So
what about the dude that allowed his friends to send him to a early death? And I wonder if, Baby Shark was playing somewhere, like in the background. They had like the whole little dance, and all that right there. I wonder if Baby Shark have some innuendos in that song because I mean, Peer pressure, man. You know,
bro.
very sad, very tragic, might I add,
It is.
and
It is tragic.
unnecessary.
But when stuff like that happens, I'm like, it's a sad story, but at the same time, I'm like, did
And it was nighttime, like it was dark outside, and then like they're out, and like if they were on there, I don't know how old the kid was or anything like that. I didn't really
he was 18. He had just graduated.
just graduated high school. He's probably on a senior, like a senior trip or
No,
whatever.
that was his graduation present.
Gotcha. So I mean, think about the guilt that everybody has on that. And then that just, man, it just makes, makes your mind wonder, just, you know, I mean, you're going to have peer pressure pretty much all your life from either kids at school growing up or at work, at the workplace or just whatever. It's going to happen. But I say that, me growing up, you could never talk me into doing something like that. Or really pretty much doing something that I knew could hurt me just for clout. And
Yeah,
people do it all the time now. They do like TikToks and just do stupid stuff just for likes and all that kind of stuff. But that wasn't me. Now I can credit that to my parents, because I was taught at a very young age to be your own man. Think for yourself. And if somebody's trying to tell you to do something, you need to do your homework and see if they've done it too.
hmm
So I've held those things together, and then that's important as parents, active parents. You need to teach a kid about peer pressure stuff like that. Now, if you just got a knucklehead, you got a knucklehead. You need to save him from himself or her from herself, and not give them opportunities to do nothing stupid.
yeah,
you know, but that's just a sad thing. And then for his friends to tell him to do that, and then now it's all of a sudden a panic, and this boy is swimming in deep, dark water in the middle of the ocean, wherever they were, and you're in shark infested waters.
yeah. Which they, of course, they didn't know that, but even
Yeah,
dude, that I don't understand how. Like even drinking, I've never had the courage to do something that stupid.
no, I've
Like,
jumped in the pool,
yeah,
drunk.
but
I've
now
hopped
I'm
over a
talking
gate or
about
two to go swimming.
you're talking about a cruise
Yeah,
that's at least 100 feet in the air.
really, is that high?
It might, maybe that's a little bit. I'm gonna stick with that. Hell, it's
Well,
high.
all right, well, it depends on what deck he jumped off of too.
Either way,
But
are
still,
you
you don't do that, man.
you
Like,
talking about you talking about jumping off? You don't know. I mean, first off, when you hit the water, you going under, and I'm talking about you going under.
yeah.
And then they said when he came up, they threw, saying the little floaty out there, but either he saw something or he felt something. And instead of going towards the floaty, he went the opposite way because whatever it was scared the shit out of him. And so he ended up swimming further away from the little bit of help that he had out there.
So also too, when you jump off them kind of boats, them kind of in those actual cruise liners or ships like that, there's a suction from the propellers that can pull you under. That can pull you on and actually pull you into the propeller.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just danger within itself. That's just a repercussion of you jumping in. Because think about it, he didn't get a full running start and catapult himself out there either.
Right.
Like he just, you know, he threw his legs over the rail and just dropped. So he was right there, along everything. So that could have killed him, like within itself,
Yeah.
you know. Um, And then, of course, wherever he was at, you have sharks. I mean, it's the summertime. The water's warm
Yeah.
just about everywhere. you know? So you have all kind of stuff out there. Like, why would you even put yourself into that position? Or why would you even try to talk one of your friends into doing something like that? That also goes back to be careful who you're hanging out with, because everybody ain't your friend,
Exactly.
because you get, man, it's sad because his friends got to live with that. His parents got to live with that because they paid for his senior trip. They paid for his graduation to go do that. Whoever else he left behind, you got to worry about that, and you got to think about that the rest of your life. So that's just a tough thing right there. And I mean, a life cut short just because he's not able to say no. Hell, I would at least say, all right, all three of us jump together.
Yeah.
Or something, we're gonna do it. All three of us gonna do it. You know, and then there ain't no holding back. Like if y'all fake jumping and I jump and I make it back up here, it's gonna get awkward for the rest of the day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how I would process it. I would handle that. But then you just, man, it sucks.
My whole thought would be why.
Why exactly? But then you look at something else too. Because I'm always looking at like the big picture and stuff. Um, Especially with this latest event with the Titanic. All of this just random stuff is happening that's getting more attention, more likes, more jokes than the actual issues that are actually happening behind our nose. Because think about it, when something silly happens around, everybody's on social media about it, and they're taking their eyes off of what's important or what could truly be happening in the world. You know, and I've noticed that being a pattern. I don't know if you noticed that before or not, but that's just what I've noticed over the last like 2 years. It's just there's a pattern whenever something silly happens that could have been a whole hoax, you know, tabloid type stuff. What else is going on? Because I mean, you get situations to where you got peer pressure, like unfortunately for that young man, but I don't think that those guys thought that through on that submarine, if that's even true.
Brother, those guys on that submarine are wild. You could not tell me that I'm about to bolt this fucking door together.
Shut.
Shut.
With
Ain't
an
no
Xbox controller.
unless this thing blow up.
With an Xbox controller.
Well, that part is not that crazy because the military actually came out and said they use a Xbox controller to control actual submarines.
Okay, well I get it, but
I mean, it might not even be an exact Xbox controller, but it's something that's similar to an Xbox controller.
you man and like, all right, here's what don't make sense to me. Okay, is that when you actually look at documents or documentation, like documentaries, I guess you could say, on like the Titanic, we know that that was real. We know that that happened. That's a part of history. And then when you see the people that go down there and explore that, they don't go down there themselves, but they got all this technology to send these, like these actual robots with cameras to go all the way down there, and they can control it with a big long cable,
Right.
while they're sitting on top of the ship. If the professionals, people that have their whole life's work dedicated to the depths of the oceans and this particular, like thing that's down there, if they didn't come up with the idea to get themselves up in a doggone, if they didn't do it, like if they, they've been sending down a robot for all these years, if they've been doing that, there's a reason why they've been doing that. These dudes, were millionaires and then just thought that there'd be something cool for them to do. So what was it, 3 or 4 of them?
I think it was 4 of them. and they paid $250,000 a piece to be locked in a tube.
And go down there untested. Like, dude, if you ask me, it's like going on Mount Everest with shorts on and no oxygen. Like you got shorts and like some mountain climbing boots on and a rain jacket and no oxygen. Like you just walking, up this mountain.
Yeah.
Like you're going to die if you do that. You know?
They say one of the guys was like the CEO of the company that, provided the submarine, and the stuff that I've been reading and listening to, that company is about to go under.
Of
Cause,
course now.
well, I take that back. They are going to be under scrutiny, but they can't. As far as the people who died, there's no repercussions on that. But there were two people. It came out that two people used to work for that company, like left that company because they were saying like the structures weren't built properly, like they were built to fail, and they didn't
So,
want anything to do about it. I mean, because like when they brought it up, everybody was like, "Hey, man, shut up, keep your mouth shut. You know
mhm.
what you're talking about." But these are people who actually worked on the ships. They was like, "Dude, this ain't sustainable," and they was like, "Ah, shut up, Jerry."
Mhm. Well, guess what? Jared finna be the CEO. Jared just got a promotion
Right.
and a raise, you know. But I mean, I get it. Like if you're some sort of, builder or entrepreneur and you got a product and you want to show that your product works, you want to bet your life on the product to actually sell it to people, sell it to the masses. I get that. And you want to believe in your product. I understand that part. But where is the common sense here? Maybe they should have just sent one down there, you know, with uh, four man size and weight dummies, not real dummies.
They did send it down with four man-sized dummies.
Yeah, but not actual physical man size. They should have just had some testes, like them, had some crash dummies or something, and sent them down there, and then just actually tested it out and see. Because once you get that deep, the pressure even gets bad, and it's dark. So you have to have like lights on and everything else. What's all that stuff running off of? At least the stuff that they sent down there, when they were studying everything and they first found all that kind of stuff, they were sending robots. And they were sending, unmanned submersibles down there. And then it was just fine. So now you got that going on. And it sucks if it's true or not. It could be a hoax. I don't know what to trust nowadays. But have you seen the memes on that?
No.
Man, dude, I seen a meme yesterday to where they had the magic school bus, and they were like, "This is the only underwater submarine I tried." It said, "This is the only submarine crew that I trust," or something. Man, I had to close my phone. Think about that. Everybody's making a mockery of it, but it's just like, man, why would you go and do that?
Because it's sad, but it's also stupid. Like, I know mostly what everybody is joking about is like, this is rich people problem, which is true. These people got too much money to give away, and it's like, I get it, because that's how stuff gets discovered. That's how you get your name in the record books and all that good stuff, because people taking risks. But some stuff you really got to think through.
Yeah, and that's one right there. You going like I'm not 100% sure how many miles it is. Like down to where it was at underwater, but you're in the middle of the Atlantic where it went, and it was like the northern Atlantic. So it's somewhere in between wherever it's set out at in Europe and New York. Okay. So with it being this time of the year, warm, there's sharks everywhere. You know. So then therefore if it did implode and open up and they just floated out of there if they ran out of air, it's just from the pressure or whatever, they're never gonna find them because they're shark bait, they're fish food, you know.
Well,
So
they did come out today and say that it did implode. So
that's
that's already out.
that's where I got that from, but which makes me think, what kind of stuff did they leave their families? Did they even have families? Did they even have, kids that actually liked them? You know, like how are you going to be a kid and be able to tell your dad, maybe tell your friends, or just growing up and think about it. How you going to be a kid that's going to college? You trying to start off, fresh life or whatever. Be like, yeah, you know, several years ago, my dad was one of the guys that went down in that, insecure submarine trying to find Titanic and he didn't come back up. Like what kind of legacy are you gonna leave for your name? What's that memorial gonna say? You know, like it's just man, it's just sad. But that's just what people are doing these days. That doesn't make any sense. But why would they do that?
It's all about the thrill seeking.
Dude,
Everybody, like I said, I feel like it was for the thrill, and it was probably for the opportunity to get their names in the record books for making some big discovery.
I get it, but do some more testing. Think through, like how you said, just really think it through. You know, we send people to space all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's been plans and the right people put in the right positions to make the decisions on when and how they're going to send people up to the moon. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just makes you wonder, you know. So
So I just sent you a video. I want you to take a look at that real quick.
okay.
You'll fast forward to about the minute 10 mark and just see what you see. And just take a look at that. I don't know if you heard about this or not, but this is some real life some scary stuff for
That's in
sure.
Florida.
Yeah.
That's your county, ain't it?
Uh trying to think. I don't know. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Gotcha.
It's close. It's close to me though. But that's not mine.
So
Have you heard of this story already?
no,
Okay.
but they just went up under the water. They just drove up to something and now they just went up under the water.
Yeah, so there was a guy that was in the parking lot and the cop pulled up and saw him and he was like, "Hey man, it's bad weather out here." He's talking to him. He's like, "You probably need to get out of this weather." And as they're walking towards each other, the guy that the cop was talking to goes under. And then the cop trying to figure out what happened, still walking towards the guy, he goes under. So they have now become real life Mario Brothers.
And then the manhole.
They in a drainage ditch, and it drug them under the water. Drug them under traffic. They ended up on the other side of traffic. Like I think it was 4 lanes that they went under.
He was praying too.
Yeah. Cussing and praying at the same time.
Cussing and praying at the same time. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He cussing that man. Cussing that man out there praying at the same time.
Hey man, that's wild, bro.
Dude, that's
Real life Mario Brothers. Like I said, that took them right up under the street. You just got sucked under 4 lanes of traffic in the middle of the night. You don't know what's going on. You don't know where you're gonna come out at. Right. Excuse me, sir. I don't think you need to be.
You know, went down there. You know, he went down there and seen Bowser. That's crazy. Yep, that's definitely reaction video worthy.
Yeah. I imagine having to go through that, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So, you know, to wrap that right there up, you know, like what I'm saying about the whole, like, why would you even do that? But you know what? They made the decision. You make a lot of sense with that, but you always can't believe everything either. You know, because they probably fake their own death. I mean, who knows, man? I'm just talking crazy. You know.
Hey, I mean, it's plausible. In that situation, I don't think
Because if you can't, because if you own a company, it's going under. You got some creditors and predators coming after you, but they can't get no money. They
that's
can't get no
one
money if you did.
I'm thinking more so of bringing name value because that wasn't the first trip that they've taken. Now that might be the first trip in that area, but they've actually done that before. So I'm not gonna say it was a big thriving company, but the vessels have been tested or at least been in the water before.
Yeah, but I'm curious to see. Like, I'm curious to know what other places where they went and tested it. If they did at some kind of indoor pool facility in a 20-foot deep pool, that don't count.
No, it don't. That don't count.
You know, you need to add about another 100 feet or more, to that to be able to get down there, and if they just went, they, tested around while they down in Nassau, the Bahamas, swimming with the fish, controlling it, that don't count either, but I don't know, man. They need, they should have left, that right there should have been saved for just, amusement parks, not no deep water expedition.
Right.
I'm just saying, say that right there for like a ride, you know what I'm saying? Charge folks $100.
Yeah.
$100 to go for that, make them sign a waiver, you know what I mean? Have a net around and have a bunch of fish in there so you just ride and look at the fish. You know what I'm saying? Do that.
Heck no.
That need to be an attraction at a cruise. That one like the ports, where you stop. Yeah, that need to be like one of them excursions. Not for you to go to the Northern Atlantic where the Titanic went down at. And just don't make sense.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But
hey, it is what it is.
Let's see what crazy happens next week.
It's definitely gonna be something. But
something else.
Anyway, man, I think that's gonna do it for tonight.
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to keep them rolling, brother. But thank you for everybody who's tuning in. Thank you for everybody who like and subscribe, doing all that stuff. Hey, share it with some people who you think might be interested in hearing us run our mouth.
Definitely.
But until next time, see you. Love everybody. Later.